This is the 70th episode of the Effective Executive podcast and YouTube channel. And I titled this week's episode, You Need to Play the Long Game. And, we have gone through a cycle of, with regards to stocks and even organizations and the way that they think, where everything seems to be oriented around a get-rich-quick scheme of some sort. It's permeated the minds of many investors and executives. Gone are the days of businesses and skills being handed down from generation to generation. And now, instead, all of that's been replaced by cryptocurrencies. If you go back to the great financial crisis back in 2007 and 8, ninja loans, no income, no job, no problem in getting a loan, short-term rewards. I look back on this and I look at organizations like Amazon, that was kind of the original of these companies that didn't show a profit for a long period of time. But Amazon always kind of had a business model that could work. And so money was poured into it. It grew to the magnitude that it is today. And it seems like everybody now wants a business model like that, with the get rich at the snap of a finger. The pendulum's gone way too far in one direction. And as an investor, I follow a gentleman by the name of Grant Williams. You may or may not be familiar with him. You can look him up on YouTube. He has a number of videos out there and gets interviewed quite a bit. But one of his, I'm not going to say mentor per se, but one of the people that he idolized in the investing world was a guy named Anthony Deaton. Anthony Deaton was a successful investor in the U.S. At the beginning. Now he lives in Switzerland, and he owns a company called Edelweiss Investments. And one of the things that struck me, Grant Williams did an interview with Anthony Deaton, and it's about 2.5 hours long. I'll put a link to it in the show notes and on the YouTube channel. But Anthony Deaton doesn't invest like everybody else, meaning he is looking to the long term. He has an interesting set of principles associated with it, which is a whole nother episode and doesn't really belong with the stuff that I'm doing other than to make a point. But you can look him up. He, in the interview, pointed out that, when we used to have families that owned businesses, there was a vested interest in longevity. You wanted to pass it down to the next generation, that you wanted your children and your grandchildren to have something of value that they could continue. And, a lot of that is gone now. And he talked in the interview, and it was about, I think it was an hour and 20 minutes or so into the interview, that he started talking about an Arab that had date trees and was, planting date trees that would not bear dates for 40 years, because the thinking and the mentality was about the longevity of things. And I believe we're on a track right now to have a market collapse. We are at unprecedented levels of stock valuations, and I think it's going to happen. And I think it could be as bad. Well, many experts are calling for it to be worse than the Great Depression. And we thought 2008 was bad. And there's a number of reasons for it with regards to the Fed and government spending and our deficits and all of those types of things. Um, so I, I think it's going to happen, and I think that pendulum that has swung towards this kind of get rich quick mindset in organizations. I got to build it up so I can sell it real fast and turn it over and make my millions type of thing is going to be replaced. Investing first, potentially a return to fundamentals, um, back to actually business models that create value and can be profitable, as opposed to some of the crazy stuff going on right now. And I I think this will also, will definitely transfer as we get back to fundamentals. Everybody's a technical analysis, watch the charts, read the tea leaves types of things. Um, and I think it's useful. Um, but we've gotten away from the fundamentals of businesses that you want to invest in. And so these businesses will need to change the way that they think, especially if we get a type of um, environment where we see a collapse in the markets, that it's going to you're going to have to reprogram your brain to actually have a business that makes money as opposed to a one that hypes it up and everybody gets excited about it and throws money in. And I think those days are going to be gone here fairly soon, you know, in the next year or so. So my focus is always on helping businesses create value for the long term. Um, I don't last very long, as I found with organizations. If you have very short term thinking, I need to make a $50 million this quarter, type of thing. Good if we do, but if that's the only focus, if it's not looking to the future, if it's not looking for longevity of building something of value like a family would think about it, I try to eliminate people nowadays as far as who I would work with versus who I wouldn't work with. And I really don't work with those organizations anymore. They aren't the Fortune 500 companies that I used to work with. They're more, in some cases, the family businesses or organizations that look to create and build value for the long term. And I think we're going to go back to this. I might be wrong, but you can always hope. And I would say today maybe only 5 or 10% of people are with that kind of mindset of businesses, of executives. There aren't many. They're all wanting to cash out, as fast as possible. Crypto, ninja loans, short-term rewards, business models based on Amazon, which at least did ultimately show that it could make money. And I'm not saying there aren't businesses out there that can't, but we got a ton of businesses out there right now that certainly don't have models that I believe will last in the long term. And then when you talk to the executives of some of these companies, it's not going to be they're not playing the long game. We're trying to get this to a point where we can sell it off to somebody. Okay. I'm probably not your guy. So anyway, I wanted to share this week as I, listened to this interview really over Christmas break. It's 2.5 hours long, so it's a long interview, but it's a really good interview. Anthony Deaton is someone that you want to talk about contrarian, you would be the king of that. But his mindset is very different than, as they say in the interview, 99% of the other money managers that are out there. Anyway, that's what I wanted to cover this week, and I will catch you next week.